Well, I've done quite a lot of work today, haven't I? I shall deserve some break, I believe. Fuck, I should be at least writing the script for my new video. Or searching for a job. Or ideally working on this game. Bitch, stop this infinite scrolling already! You're not even playing anything! I'm too exhausted to even answer anyone.
Ladies and gentlemen, we would like to announce the 6th Ukrainian visual novel jam.
Wake up! Wake up! Wake up! A camera? You've been very unproductive lately. As a punishment, you will not stand up from this seat until you finish shooting this video.
What if I have to go to the bathroom?
No standing up until you finish. No rest until you finish.
I guess your plan isn't really gonna work with these paper handcuffs. Welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'm gonna tell you how I participated in the Ukrainian visual novel game jam. Again. The first part of the video is gonna be more like a vlog type style, where I will tell you about the events surrounding this whole game jam. Then I'm gonna tell you the rules, after which you'll see the process of me creating the game. Then we'll jump straight into the reviews and results. And for that part, I have something special to tell you there, so keep watching until the end. And at the end, I'll share some of my philosophical thoughts. Also, in my previous video about NaNoRenO, I shared some tips and advices, so I'm not gonna share anything like that in this video, but you will see whether these tips and advices which I used for this jam actually worked or not. This video also includes a masochistic emo kit, lots of failures, fading invasions, and... what was the last thing? And I also forgot to say that this video also includes lightning changes because I ended up recording this whole video during a whole day. So buckle up, kids, because in today's video, you're finally gonna find out how I created a gold in the face of a visual novel game. I should stop relying on ChatGPT for script suggestions. I always wanted to join the Ukrainian visual novel jam, ever since the first time I heard about it. But you see, I'm the kind of person who likes filling up their calendar with endless plans and keeping myself busy all the time. Which meant that I never actually had the time to participate in one. However, as I said in my previous video,
I decided that 2025 was going to be a game-changing year for me.
So in March, when there was yet another Ukrainian visual novel taking place, which I couldn't join because I was busy with my university's game jam, I promised myself I would finally participate in the next one that would follow. When they first announced it, I saw that it would take from 23rd of July till the 10th of August. And at that time, I had nothing planned for this period of time. So I promised myself that I was finally going to participate. I put it straight into my calendar and I decided right there and there that I'm going to take part in this game jam no matter what. And so it was finally going to be Oh my god, Eclipse, here you go. This is what you get for making you always so busy. Fuck. And so, my Erasmus friend decided to stay over for a week. Then, more plans came flooding up into my schedule during the jam. So once again, I realized that I just couldn't dedicate the time I initially thought I would to the game. Yes, this is still not the end of the video. But how do you know I didn't just leave the screen black so it would look as if the video is long enough? Still here? Good. Keep watching to find out. One thing you have to know before we start. During this whole time, my parents were away on the vacation, so all the cooking and house chores were left to me. As you know, my Erasmus friend, who gave me the permission to mention her in this video and call her by her real name, so we're gonna call her Jihyun from now on. She stayed during a whole entire week over at my place here in Prague. She came here for the first time on the 23rd of July, the day the game jam had officially begun. And a quick explanation here. Erasmus Plus is a program of exchange students, to put it simply, and we met with Jihyun back in February in Slin when I was still studying at the university, and I was basically her guardian looking over her or whatever. The first day we just went for a small walk in the evening, and we got really lucky because we saw 3 cats in total and a family of small tiny dogs. Then on the second day I took her on a tour de Prague, aka just showing her around the city center. And what's curious enough was that we saw not one but 2 Ukrainian music duos which were singing and playing this interesting looking instrument. Which reminded me of my roots and that I should be working on the game instead of slacking off with my friends. I still don't know what the name of this instrument is, but it looked unusual. Then the following days we just spent walking around Prague. I showed her some of the lesser known streets in Prague. Of course, we even visited the biggest toy store here, which was previously known as Hamley's. And then we went to swim in the Vltava river on a boat, though, for the very first time ever. And somehow we even accidentally ended up invading a wedding. Oh, and this time there was a pride happening in Prague during the time of the game jam, so I even managed to take her on one of the pride events. Also, back in February, when we first met together with her, she told me she had never played bowling ever before and she wanted to try it. So I promised her even back in February that I was gonna take her to bowling. So we ended up going on one. That week was honestly so amazing and we grew so much closer together that I didn't even want to let her go. However, I had some other responsibilities to do during that time. So I didn't begin the jam until day 6. And frankly, the closer and closer the jam got, the more and more plans started piling up in my calendar. But this time, I promised myself that I had to participate. I actually want to make a tradition out of participating in every Ukrainian visual novel jam because, surprise, surprise, I am Ukrainian. Besides, I still had almost 12 whole days to dedicate to the jam. Not that bad, right? And since I previously created a game in only 10 days, I figured that I could do it once again. Either way, it was possible, right? Right? So now that the jam has officially begun, let's read the rules.
The script must be fully original and written during the jam period. You can use any tools or libraries to create your game. You may start from any base code you already have. The use of generative AI is of course strictly forbidden. Your visual novel must not include racist or otherwise illegal content. The game's language must be Ukrainian. There were also some organizational specialities, such as that you can work in a team, but one participant cannot submit multiple games. Then it's also forbidden to hire people for money to participate in the jam, and each team must rate at least 20% of the games submitted by other participants, but no fewer than 12.
And this time, I was actually kind of even anxious about what the theme would be. And I don't even know why. When Jihyun was over at my place, I didn't even bother to take a look at the theme because I thought I would not participate in the jam this time. A big mistake. As I understand now, I should have at least taken one look at the theme because even if I didn't end up participating in the jam, the theme would at least sit there in my brain and marinate. Who knows, maybe Jihyun could even help me come up with the story a little bit. So I could even include her as my co-author. Which, tell you a little secret, ended up being kind of true. But enough rambling. Let's finally reveal what the theme was. Theme was whisper.
The author had so much fantasy since the previous gem's theme was literally noise.
And after I said goodbye to Jihyun, I went to this amazing study cafe in the center of Prague, where I scheduled my time, set my scope, and started brainstorming the story ideas a little bit. I hope I can get sponsored by some cafe one day. The way I approach game jams, or any writing in general, is that I always consult with my story idea bank in Notion or on my Remarkable. I usually pick a few ideas of the stories and then tweak them accordingly to the theme of the game jam. And to tell you a small secret, I usually start planning the story even before the jam begins. Because honestly, you can tweak pretty much any story to fit any theme if you're stubborn enough as I am.
But again, it's only a secret, so don't tell the game jam organizers that I do that.
Since there was the Pride taking place in Prague during that time, I initially thought that I would like to create some Pride or LGBTQ+ themed story. My ideas were to make a story about ROA's character and the usual struggles they have to suffer through, or maybe a story about some experiences of the people I would meet and talk to on the Pride, or even my own adventures on the Prague Pride. One of my other ideas also included Ukrainian mythology, because honestly, I just love mythology. All these fantastical settings and unusual creatures, I love that shit.
I love that shit. No, rock that shit off. Wait, where was I?
But I will admit, I know almost nothing about Ukrainian mythology, even though it's literally my own roots. And so that would be the perfect excuse for me to finally read about Ukrainian mythology. Because have you actually seen it? For example, have you seen Mavka? A ghost of a girl who committed a self-exit act because of because of Unrequited love? You can tell it's a mafka because her back is covered in blood and her bones are sticking out. That's fucking amazing! And again, another secret to tell you, I would love to make one of my future games about Ukrainian mythology. Remember my NaNoWriMo video? In it, I shared some tips and advices how to participate in game jams. And this time, I finally decided to follow my advices. So, I wrote down all the themes and motives I wanted to discuss in my game, and then crossed some of them out, so I would not get overwhelmed in those not whole 12 days. And after I did that, there were 3 main words floating around in my notes. Whisper, Ukrainian mythology, and pride. But then, it finally hit me. Productivity. You see, back in 2023, it was my most productive year yet. And also the most destructive for my health at that. I am still constantly looking out for ways how to boost my productivity. And that said, I am no stranger to productivity and workaholism and the health problems it brings and causes. So I decided to make a game about productivity and workaholism, something I know way too well. I even shared this idea of mine with Jihyun, and even she said that it sounds just like me. But then, there came another problem. How do you connect the theme of productivity and workaholism with the whisper motif? Well, by that point, my coffee was already cold, so I decided to head back home and brainstorm some more ideas at home with another cup of coffee. After NaNoWriMo, I learned my lesson about story structure, and this time I really wanted to make a choices matter game, especially since the last time I didn't include any choices at all. So I made a proper outline and a schedule for the remaining 12 days. And keep in mind that my parents were away during that whole time, so all the house chores were left purely to me on top of the jam. And at home, I created a Notion page using the same template I used for my NaNoWriMo project, which I actually plan to share for free on my Ko-Fi once I tweak it, in case there will be enough interest in it. Or I might release it for free regardless. To see the big picture, I used Freytag's pyramid and mapped out the major story plot points in Figma. And I also included major choices and their consequences there. And honestly, I really like this system I came up with. I divided each choices into these 3 groups: chat choices, relaxation choices, and work choices. Each of these 3 groups had 3 major choices which would branch out the story. So, already at the beginning of my process, I already had 9 major core choices which would branch out the story. And it didn't mean that my game would only have 9 choices and that these were the only choices that would be in the game. It just helped me map out the story and the direction which it would go to. Yeah. And that same day, I also sketched out some of the visual ideas I had in mind. Since I am primarily an artist, I always think visually. So I already had an art direction in mind even before I nailed down the story. For example, I wanted my main character in the game to look a little bit like the protagonist from Omori.
Even though I still haven't played the game yet.
I also planned to divide this whole game into these color-coded sections, much like they do in comics planning pages, for example. My idea was that at the beginning of the game, the tones would be bright and cheerful, and then it would slowly deteriorate and desaturate. It would shift from warm yellow tones into cold blue ones. And by the end, it would turn into an absolute darkness. But hey, that's just me spoiling out my game, which I'm gonna do alone in this video. As I said in my NaNoRenO video, it is important to change up your environment sometimes. So I try to work in a cafe at least once per week when I can, and when I have the money. So on day 7 of the jam, I decided to visit a cafe where my friend works. And in the end, I wrote part of the script for my game there in the cafe. Though, really, me and my friend, we mostly just spent the whole time talking and sharing our life updates instead of working. And she even received a warning from her boss because of that. But hey, I received a brownie for free, so I think it was worth it in the end. I initially thought that I would stay there only for 2 hours, but I ended up staying there for 4 hours until the cafe's closing. So she told me that for each hour I stay there, I should pay 1,000 crowns. So in the end, I ended up owing her 4,000 crown debt. But while she was cleaning after the closing, I sang her a full entire Palais Royal concert, which cost her 6,000 crowns. So now it is her who is in 2,000 crown debt for me. And you know who you are. I am still waiting for the money. And when I came back home, I started sketching some concepts of the main character. As I already said, I was really inspired by the Omori protagonist, so I wanted to draw in a similar anime-ish style, but I ended up drawing in my usual style. What I also like to do for my visual novel sprites is to use any kind of paper background, let's say. And so I use this checkered paper texture for the overline and color of my visual novel sprites. On day 8, I started searching for some background references. I understood that I would not have enough time to draw any of the backgrounds myself, so I just ended up searching for some Google images and edited them, which ended up being kind of like a reference to Inio Asano's style. After trying his technique out for NaNoRenO, I really did fall in love with it, and I would like to incorporate it into my other art projects, and not only into backgrounds, though I still don't know how. Day 9 was interrupted by the Pride Parade. Before, I had never attended one because I am the kind of person who doesn't really like all these noisy and crowded places. I prefer the small and cozy and quiet ones. And the reason why I love Prague so much is that we have so many of these narrow, hidden, inconspicuous streets even in the city center. You see, the center of Prague is very crowded, especially the touristic streets. But if you take a slip into one of the side streets, you will see no people there at all. And maybe it is usual for every city or every capital city out there, but I've really only heard it said about Prague, so... Anyways, back to the point. Before the Pride, I honestly thought I would hate it, but in the end, I ended up liking it a lot. I think it was all especially because of my friends. And on the Pride, we were always like, oh, cool people, cool people, cool people. And also, on the parade, we even ran by the end of it at our old math teacher. Aww. Explain why I'm so excited? This is the best teacher in the world. All the students he taught maths literally loved maths. Where have you heard about it? Even the kids who disliked or hated maths, even the ones who had problems such as dyscalculia, just loved his classes. So, if you are based in Prague and need a tutoring especially for primačky, just text me and I will leave you his number. And before all of us went home, we conducted a small ritual, a small photo session with my friends. We even took some wedding photos for a couple of them. So the whole entire day was pretty much wasted once again. Though I stole this cool bracelet for free, and I finally got myself an asexual pin! Since I spent the whole day on Pride, I didn't have much energy left when I returned back home. So all I did in the evening was just a little bit of concept art and a little bit of story writing. But that was also the day when I finally figured out how to connect the themes of productivity and workaholism with the whisper motif. My idea was that there would be this whisper sound which would always whisper some productive tips and advices to the character. Later, I realized that I could even dub and record all the whispering lines because there weren't that many, honestly. That was also the perfect chance for me to finally try out voice acting in visual novels for the first time. You see, I'd never done voice acting in any visual novel before because A, I never had the opportunity to, and B, I read somewhere that it's hard to do supposedly. But after googling, I realized that it's not actually. All you have to do is write voice and put the location of your recorded voice lines into double quotes and write it all above the according line of the dialogue. So if your visual novel has a lot of dialogue lines, it can get tedious to separate all these recorded lines into separate files, but it's not hard per se. So yeah, this visual novel is entirely dubbed by me. Honestly, hearing my own voice in the game made me realize that my voice is actually pretty nice and even attractive in Ukrainian, which finally made me less insecure about it. Even the father's voice is entirely mine. And wait, father's voice? Didn't you say you only recorded the whisper lines? Well, you'll have to play the game yourself to find out. When I release the remastered version. I refrained from working on August 4th because Jihyun came to Prague again, so I wanted to spend the whole time together with her. And in the evening, when I came back home, I had no motivation nor energy left. So I decided... Wait, what did I even do? Reading webtoons? Are you serious? Recently, I watched a video from Ali Abdal where he says that what distinguishes professionals from average people is that professionals push through even when they don't want to. And that's exactly something I've been trying to relearn. Because before, during my productive era, I used to push through all the time. And when I had no energy to work and I wanted to sleep, I still kept pushing through. Well, that said, this was also what caused all of these health problems of mine, but still, I miss that time and I want to bring that time back.
Maybe because I'm an emo masochistic kid who still didn't grow out of this phase and likes to torture themselves.
In the morning of day 12, I got into a bit of a funny situation. There's this grandpa on the market who me and my mother buy vegetables from all the time. And that day, he kept staring at me because of my makeup. which looked pretty much the same as I have it right now. And you might think that it was judgmental and impolite from him, and actually you would
Wrong! He's just jealous and wishes he looked like you.
She's right. You always have such interesting makeup. In fact, I look just like that after a heavy night of drinking.
Then, while I was waiting for coffee, an old lady started talking to me about cats. And somehow, in just one 5-minute conversation about cats, she somehow managed to include her entire life story into it. I don't know how old people do that. Oh, and on my way back home, I also saw this really cute cat. But okay, now, back to the game. Psych! That same game, I again went out with my other friend to show them around Prague. Once again. Girl, you have such tight deadlines and grandiose plans, and you keep spending your time with friends? Great job, great job. The ironic part is that, once again, I was reminded of my Ukrainian roots by these Ukrainian musicians, by the same Ukrainian musicians playing in the streets again, and playing the same instrument, which I still haven't found out the name of. And that was also the second time.
I can see the ring light, oh my god.
And that was also the second time me and my friend invaded a wedding. At this point, I just think I'm some kind of wedding invader or something. If you want me to invade your wedding, just dial this number right here.
8 800
And day 13 was also wasted. I spent the whole entire morning together with my friend, and at 2 p.m. I accompanied them to their train. After which I went to a cafe before my job interview, because honestly there was no point in me going back home. If you're curious, I got myself some filtered coffee there and a huge carrot cake. And while on my way to the interview, I encountered a small puppy pug for the first time. And it was so cute, and it just kept on biting me over and over again, to the point I think it actually wanted to eat me up whole together with my clothes and my bag, which has some pins and sharp dangerous objects on it. But still, it was so cute that it kept me in a good mood the whole day. And if you're curious about how the job interview went, well, at first they hired me, but then they didn't. So, Flying Rat, I'm still open for your position. So, back home, I celebrated me being hired at first with an espresso tonic. And I also texted Jihyun about it, and she also got herself an espresso tonic in my favorite cafe back in Zlín there. And a note about espresso tonic. She first tried her first espresso tonic when she was over at my place, and she said that it was the most amazing espresso tonic and she will never like any other one. And then when she had the espresso tonic in the cafe, she once again confirmed it that my espresso tonic is the best. So I'm like the best espresso tonic barista in the world, I believe. After all that caffeine, I felt really sluggish, anxious, and I didn't want to work anymore. But the deadline was so close that I banned myself from taking any more days off. So I decided to work on something simpler, which was UI, one of my favorite parts of any digital product. I already had an amazing vision in mind. Yellow background with spirals and a blue text box at the bottom. The only thing I played with was obviously the design of the text box, which I tried to make it look more like kind of like old Windows screen. And I also played with the quick menu buttons, which I decided to make them as image buttons. And in the end, I ended up sticking with this clean, modern looking decision. But I ran into an issue. The quick menu buttons didn't disappear together with the dialog box. At first I thought I could find some line of code for it so the quick menu buttons would hide together with the dialog box. But after googling, no. You always have to manually add quick menu equals false whenever you want to hide it. Since it wasn't like really important, I kept postponing it to the very last day. And on that last day, I was just speedrunning hiding the quick menu over and over again. If anyone knows a more efficient way to fix this, please let me know down in the comments because I didn't find any. And the last 2 days, they were spent pretty much without any break. I basically relived my 2023 workaholic era and fully immersed myself in the skin of my main character. On day 14, I kept working on the CG art. I also realized that, hey, maybe you will not make it in time, especially since you're dedicating it to working on the CG art, even though you haven't even edited the story yet. As I said in my NaNoReno video, I like to record my own sounds and music whenever possible. And when Jihyun was over at my place, she introduced me to a new genre of music, shoegaze. And I honestly really liked it because it reminded me of some like doomer music and some stuff I listen to when I want to concentrate and am not in the mood to listen to lo-fi music. But during the music production phase, I failed. Respectively, instead of sticking with one resource, I kept searching for a lot of them, which wasted my time a lot. When you're in a game jam, the best option is just to stick with what you already know. That's why I also hate it when they recommend, especially beginners, to join game jams. Especially the short ones. Because what beginners do is just keep searching and googling about the information of how to write certain line of code or whatever, instead of actually making the game. That being said, I do recommend giving yourself some time constraints, especially again if you're a beginner. For example, the first game I ever created was made in a week, and I gave myself a 1-week deadline for it. It was also a visual novel game made in Ren'Py, and I was just trying out Ren'Py for the first time and just seeing what I can do with it in 1 week. And then when I was learning Unity, I also gave myself 1 week deadline to create an endless runner. Let's not talk about that this 1 week turned into 3 months of tutorial hell. Hey, at least I released it and published it. Even though if it's buggy and ugly and I didn't learn anything from it. But back to the soundtrack. At first, I thought I would ask Jihyun to send me some of her guitar tunes she played back when she was still in Korea. But then I realized that probably the quality of the sound would not be ideal, and I also didn't want to bother her with it. So I decided to record my own music. But the problem was, I didn't own a guitar. And I still don't. So I kept searching for some online guitars so I could play some of my own melodies I would come up with. But then I realized that it would be pretty much impossible to make what I had in mind with these online guitars. So instead, I turned to searching for some VSTs which I could arrange some compositions in LMMS. But then again, I couldn't find anything decent, so I gave up on that idea. By that point, I was at my lowest. I have already spent so much time on music creation, and I didn't have anything good on my hands. Was this game doomed to fail from the beginning? So, with no other options left, I used BandLab to create my soundtrack. And thank God I did, because it really did save me. I used some shoegaze samples and created different compositions with them. And, most importantly, I enjoyed the process, and I was even vibing to the music together with my cat. The music isn't perfect, but somebody even asked me whether I would release the album together with all the soundtrack. And which eventually I will, once again I remaster the whole game. So August 9 ended up being the day when I finally recorded all the voice lines. And listening back to the father's lines I recorded,
Ти, як завжди, неправильно розставляєш пріоритети. Постоянно шляєшся десь з друзями.
I was even almost crying. Because all the stuff he says in the game, I also heard my whole entire life. So the game ended up being pretty personal to me. And as for why I recorded father's lines as well as the whisper lines, even though I only said in the beginning I would record only the whisper lines, well, the whispers, they do make sense, because you can't really hear whispers in text, so it's more logical to put them like as a voice dubbed line. But the father? Honestly, I dubbed him just because he didn't have that much lines to dub. And yes, that is the whole reason. And now, moving on so we can see more of my mess ups. The last day. The most crucial day. The one which would decide it all. On August 10th, there was this amazing, beautiful, most beautiful Jewish synagogue opened for free visits in Prague for the probably first and only time. So I really wanted to go and visit it because I've never been there ever before. But the deadline was coming closer and closer, and my game was nowhere near finished. So I spent the whole entire day sitting at my computer, almost without standing up, and almost without any breaks. And eventually, I exploded.
I still have to finish quite a lot of things, but I can't anymore. I can't. I just have to go outside. And I don't care that it's f***ing hot outside. I just need to walk already! Poor cat. Aww. Aww.
Hello, we are TSS and this is our outfit of the day.
What's funny? I'm making a game about workaholism, basically critiquing workaholism, while being pretty much workaholic during working on the game. The thing is, I decided to go for a walk right now because my head kind of started hurting while I was working on the game. That time when my head started hurting, I was writing the line about how like workaholism can make all your health problems and blah blah blah. And I literally started having all these health problems. And don't think that I'm not listening to music right now and being all digital free or whatever. I have my headphones on. Like, I can't do it without music. And also, funny thing, workaholism is defined when you're thinking about work, even when you're not working. Right now, I'm like relaxing on a walk, but I'm looking for an inspiration for the cover art. I still have to finish. I have to draw the main menu. I still have to play. Oh, and an icon. Wow. Oh, there are more things I still have to do. Oh, hello there. Do you think I can finish it all in 4 hours?
We'll see. Oh, we'll see.
Lately, since March of 2025, I've been experiencing these weird symptoms I have. I feel as if I can lose balance at any moment. And the weird thing is, when I go outside, these symptoms, they usually disappear, but not always. But the moment I return back home and sit down at my computer desk, this migraine, it returns. Though I wouldn't really describe it as migraine, it's really more like me being afraid of losing balance or consciousness at any moment. Thanks to all the couch doctors for listening. And no, I don't want any diagnosis in the comments. And after the walk, I came back to see that the deadline was thankfully extended by 1 hour, which, as you can guess, really helped me a lot.
I have almost finished my game. There's still quite a lot of things I'd have to do, and I like 1 hour, but more. So I'll go eat, and while I'll be making the game at the same time, it is a very bad idea, but I think I can make it.
And during these last 2 hours before submission, I was under huge pressure and big stress. I could even feel myself shaking all the time. I actually thought that me submitting a little late would ruin it all. 12 days of such hard work ruined by only few minutes or hours late submission.
Oh my god, okay, I'm pretty much done. Oh no, Duolingo! Oh no! Okay, all I need to do is make a quick icon of the boss, the friend, me, no, I don't need it. Then icon of the game itself, add the descriptions, and then I can build the game. Finally, can I make it? Like, I hope I have 1.5 hours more. Ah! Okay, holy shit, I'm finished. The script, it didn't have basically any mistakes. There was just literally one unreachable line. It was the only mistake in the script. Now I have to just quickly create the itch.io page. I think it will take like 15 minutes, I hope. And then... Oh yes! Let's check the show submissions. Ooh, there are quite a lot already. But 50 already. I think I can make it. And I think my game actually works, and in general, yes. Okay, I'm pretty proud of how page looks. I mean, me like. Okay, now I just have to upload. It now. Wow, only 25 minutes left. Let's go. Let's make it fast. And... Woo! Let's see. Yeah, I'm here. Oh yeah. Now I just need to restart my computer because I've done everything. Everything seems to be I hope everything's working. And then tomorrow I will have to go to the labor's office, I believe is it called. And I have to wake up at maybe like 7. I don't even know when I have to wake up. I mean, hello. Well, mother can't sleep at night. Yes, it's almost midnight. I have to take a shower before tomorrow. And I still want to get a coffee. But I mean, I think I deserve it, especially after... I still have to get my vitamins. I think I deserve it because I was literally working 2 days straight without basically any breaks. So... And for some reason, I want to get the chocolate as well. But I mean, yo, look at this chocolate. It's like some French chocolate with lavender. And you can actually feel the lavender feel? Smell? Taste? Taste the lavender there. So cool. And I think it's a little bit old already. The lavender. Amazing. Шаль. Ты шоколад хочешь? Шаль. На шоколадку хочешь? And I still have to clean even that. Oh my fucking god. Me being at the labor office tomorrow. Yay. The combination of this sour acid coffee with this sweet lavender chocolate is amazing. And she always asks me for a tuna, which she still has some. I like how she uses different strategies for different people to ask us for tuna, because Shirley, let's show it to the camera. Well, whenever she asks my mother for a tuna, she meows. She always meows. But with me, she always hugs me. She's shy on the camera. And now I want to tea, because of course. Sure. She's shy. I reached 1050 streak on Duolingo. That is asking me for a tuna, right? Right? Hey. She's shy. Okay, everyone. So I have less than 6 hours left to sleep. So wish me good luck, everyone. Good night. Good morning. Jeez, I can't wait until I clean today already. Jeez, I'm so fucking hungry. I'm even hungrier than my cat. And she's like always hungry. Okay, never, I tell you, never get sleep deprived. Otherwise, you're gonna be extremely hungry and it's not normal. Because really, I never get hungry in the morning, but right now it's 7 in the morning and I never wake up at that time. And my body is just like, huh?
It's kind of ironic. I made a game criticizing workaholism and ended up being workaholic myself. So, with my last brain cells already dying, I made quite a list of stupid mistakes. The last thing I did before the deadline was changing the GUI colors. I totally blanked out while I was changing the colors because I just couldn't really understand which colors in the GUI were changing when I changed them in the script. And so yeah, the submitted version of the game isn't optimized for colorblind people. I was so scatterbrained at that time that instead of writing workaholism spiral on the cover art, I wrote productivity spiral.
I just read the main cover, which is on the main main menu screen. Says the spiral of productivity, not workaholism, but productivity. I don't care. It has history. I'll just leave it like that already.
While submitting this game, there was this input field where the developers could write some hints for the players so they could achieve all the endings easily. But I decided to write there, let's say it like this. There are 3 main endings to achieve and 2 secret ones, mysteriously.
Jeez, instead I could have just normally written something there. Okay, I was already pretty much dying at that point, but still.
You also always have to credit the resources you use for the creation of your game. Of course. The resources mainly being like sprites, backgrounds, CG music, SFX, and that stuff. And again, my last brain cells were already dead by that point, so I forgot to mention that I used the code for the phone from another user who wrote this code originally. And so later, many people in the comments were writing and asking about it. They actually thought that I wrote everything myself. But I am not like totally awful person, so I just always send them the link in the comments whenever they asked for it. And explained that the code wasn't mine and that I just stole it. Legally though.
Well, because I didn't make myself enough
Any time to edit the story and grammar and writing spelling mistakes. The submitted version has really awkward grammar and spelling mistakes, which I am really ashamed of them. There are also some like illogical consequences when you play the game. For example, when at the start you choose not to add any features to the app you're developing, later on there will still come the line that you're adding these features to the app. And also, the last choice,
Again, spoiling out.
it doesn't really actually affect anything. Well, okay, it only gives you corresponding points to the choice you make, but still, it doesn't really actually impact anything major. However, there still is a fact which I am really proud of. When I clicked in Ren'Py to check my script for any mistakes I might have made, there were literally no mistakes in the script. Well, except that there was only one line which was unreachable, but it's not like a huge crucial mistake. So, this was the first time when you could fix some bugs even after the submission of your game. There was a whole day dedicated entirely for it. But it was also the last day before my mom returned from her vacation. And the apartment ended up looking not just like mess, but like absolute shit.
And both me and the apartment look hell a lot like a mess. I should clean already, for like 4 days ago maybe, but I don't even want to show you how my apartment looks right now, because my mom apparently also watches my videos, though I don't know how she understands me. Hi, Mom!
I honestly don't know how I'll manage to do that, especially during game jams. My whole apartment looked like a mess. How could this happen? I wasn't here for 3 days. And, you know, if mothers see a messy apartment, especially this messy, so I decided to take a whole day off from the game and not think about it, because I needed to clean the apartment before my mom would return from her vacation, and also just to refresh my brain. So again, I decided to take a whole day off from my game, especially since the day before I had spent the whole day just working on the game. Though I did see one notification that somebody wrote something to the comments of my game, but I, again, didn't pay any attention to that. I was on a break, on a vacation, let's say. Still, I found it kind of strange that I received only one comment, because I thought that the cover art, which looks pretty cool, would attract more developers. Now I understand that not checking the comment immediately was a huge mistake. I went to check my game page immediately, to discover that I had accidentally clicked the disable new downloads and purchases option. So nobody could actually download nor even see the option on my game page. And that was also what the first comment warned me about. And that also explained why nobody had commented on my game for the past 2 days. Thankfully, I just immediately unclicked the option and my game was finally available for downloads. And I didn't get disqualified. Plus, the organizer of the game had contacted me. So you could say that I got noticed by my senpai. And as a reminder, one of the rules was that each team had to rate at least 20% of the games, which ended up being 15 games out of the 74 entries. So far, the biggest amount ever on any Ukrainian visual novel jam. During the judging period, I rated some games, and I also received a lot of feedback on my game. Very positive at that. People were mostly praising my work, and many of them were very shocked that I did everything alone by myself. They loved the variety in choices, the visuals, and the music, of course. Oh, and by the way, the music you've been hearing this whole entire video in the background, it comes from this game and it was all made by me. Someone even asked me in the comments whether I would release the album of all the soundtrack, and eventually I will. This gave me the hope that I could end up not in the top 20, but maybe in like top 10 or 15 on the itch.io results page. However, all of the comments also mentioned the language mistakes, the Ukrainian grammar and the use of some Russian words, and it really affected the experience in a bad way. Playing my game after the jam, yeah, I can say myself that it really did ruin the experience. So this made me unsure of where I might rank in the end. On one hand, I did receive a lot of positive feedback. On the other, the language mistakes were significant, and there were also lots of other amazing games submitted on that jam. So, me and my friends were waiting anxiously for the results, which would only be revealed on the 25th of August. The criteria for the ratings were overall impression, story, sound, style, uniqueness, don't have enough fingers, characters, and theme consistency. The winner categories were overall impression, where the first to fifth places received 5,000 Ukrainian hryvni each. 5,000 гривень, українських гривень. Then perfect visual novel, where the first place by total score across all the categories received an additional 5,000 українських гривень.
Гривень. There we go. See, the language mistakes are even like in my spoken language.
However, only games with fully original graphics, music, and resources qualified for this category. Then there was the promising project, which was chosen by Ternox, the organizer. As the organizer, he may have selected one or several projects based on his personal taste.
And again, award them with 5,000 українських гривень.
And also there was an offer to publish the project in English, though that would be no problem for me. Ternox also wrote that he would choose the project based on his personal criteria, and so if no project spoke to him, there would be no award for this category. Then there was the additional nomination, where Ad Moriarty would select one project which was capable to tell a lot using only few simple tools or words. And again, the reward would be 5,000 українських гривень. Just to remind you, The results were announced on August 25th. My project was ambitious and it did receive a lot of positive feedback. Someone even said in the comments that it was their favorite project out of all. Many of the players understood the main message I was trying to tell with my game, that workaholism can lead to irreversible health damage. And one participant even started a wholesome thread on X, previously known as Twitter, which is like a dream come true for any indie game developer. I will leave a link to that thread down in the description and the pinned comment. This, again, gave me the hope that I could end up in like the top 10 or 15. However, the language errors were a huge concern. Okay, enough intrigue. Let's see where I ended up in all of this.
Seems like all the results are in. Let's check them out. Ta-da-da. Ta-da-da.
Ooh, ta-da-da. Ta-da-da. Ooh, ta-da-da.
Yeah, no, I don't think my game's gonna be there. Yeah. But my project was so... Okay, it had a lot of issues, but so many people liked it. Feeling a bit sad, to be honest. But let's at least see on which place am I. No f***ing way! Really? Oh, I mean, not bad. Okay.
21st place. You know, it's just like getting a score lower just because you missed 1 point on a test. But overall, I was thrilled. 21st place is a huge improvement from my last entry. And you can go and see that video to find out which place I ended up being on. And I also received so much positive feedback that it motivated me to continue my indie dev career and to remaster this game eventually. This also reinforced my decision to drop out of my university. Right now, I'm busy with remastering and expanding the game, which the story has expanded so much that I hope to finish it at least before Christmas. But in the worst case scenario and more realistic one,
It can take up to January or even February.
However, you can follow my devlogs on itch.io. I started with only 9 choices, simple story arc, and less than 10 days to complete the whole game. Now, it's a complex branching story with many consequences. Yay! Finally a good promotion for your game! Reflecting on this whole experience, I can see that I can still create wonders even with the challenges I face. The game portrays problems caused by overworking, which all of this, I pretty much shared my personal experience in this game. We are still not close enough for me to share my personal story, but if you're curious to take a glimpse, wait for me to release the full game because it will be available for free in English on my itch.io page. And while you're there, please consider supporting me with a tip on this game or on my Ko-Fi page. And once again, let's keep this tradition of learning from our own mistakes. In my previous video about NaNoRenO, I gave some tips and advices to how to participate in any game jam. Now, I also want to sum up things which went well and the things that I could have changed. I decided to join the jam despite my schedule, because I promised myself previously that I would finally join the jam, which just proved that I can be very ambitious and chasing after my goals. I learned from my previous mistakes and listened to my own advice and wrote down all the things I wanted to uncover in the story and crossed some of them out, which I would not have enough time to uncover.
Шея! Кисю! Котеночек! Yes, every video gets interrupted by my cat. That's what we're here all for. Let me show her. Шея!
Ух ты! Wow! Also, when I received this ring light, there is still, yeah, you can see the packages there, and our tradition is that our cat, whenever she likes some kind of garbage, we just let the garbage be hers. And so, right now, she is often laying on all of these packages, so they are hers already.
Okay, back to the video.
I put lots of my own thoughts and philosophical thoughts into the game, and I also created it based on my own personal experience. So hey, you can again say that it's basically based on a true story. I proved to myself that I can work under tight deadlines and hard conditions. And I did take the very much needed breaks, 2 even, and I still managed to submit the game on time. And okay, one more fact I'm very proud of. My script didn't have any mistakes when I checked it.
Except for the language mistakes, but we're not talking about it right now.
Now, on to the things that were bad and things that I would have changed. I should have taken a look at the theme even if I decided not to participate in the end, just so some kind of idea would start marinating in my brain. I should have sketched the cover art and starting coming up with the title at the beginning phases of my game development, because it's really the best practice to have all these ideas, titles and promotional art already at least sketched at the beginning of your game development process. I spent too much time just searching for the online resources to make music. And that said, I spent 2 whole days writing music. Well, respectively composing samples into bigger compositions. Now I understand I should have only just exported each sample on their own, because in the end that's pretty much what I did. Though for the bigger compositions, I arranged all these samples into bigger soundtracks, which did consume a lot of my time. Because, you know, if music isn't the primary goal of your game, you should not spend 2 whole days only on it. And I think that while it was a good decision to take a whole day off from the game to not think about it, now I realize I should have dedicated at least 1 evening to at least fix all the grammar mistakes. I didn't dedicate nearly enough time to the creation of this game. I was even watching some series in the evenings and reading some books, and let's be honest, spent a lot of time out with my friends. Now I understand that I should have dedicated all this time to the creation of my game. That way, its quality might have been much better. And thanks to all of that, the last day before the submission, I ended up spending just working almost without any breaks. And while it was pretty atmospheric to film what my character feels, I couldn't really concentrate on my work. Yeah, I guess I did not understand the moral of my own story. Well, and to sum it all up, wait for me to finish the game. Right now, I'm remastering and expanding the game, and the story has grown so much that I wish to finish the game before Christmas, but more realistically, it will be finished January or even in February. However, you can follow my devlogs on my itch.io page. and I have some quite grandiose plans and non-linear story plans with multiple endings. So yeah, we'll see how I manage to do that all alone by myself. At the time of recording this video, which is October 6th of 2025, the script for one of the routes is already over 50 pages long. So far, there are 2 main endings and 2 secret ones. And tell you a little hint, you will realize these are the secret endings because they're vastly different from the other ones. Though, to be honest, these numbers still can change because I just keep on expanding the story more and more. And again, the game will be available for free in English on my itch.io page. And while you're playing the game, consider supporting me with a small tip, either on the game or on my Ko-Fi page. And for this last part, I even want to sit closer together with you so we can discuss it from eye to eye. Why are you looking at me like that? Why you keep looking at me like that? Okay, so few final words I want to say at the end. Well, maybe a little bit more than few, as you can see by the timeline, but still. All of these thoughts are mentioned in my game, and they really prompt you to think about them because these are all kind of philosophical thoughts. So if you're not really into that, you can go ahead and watch some of my other videos. But if you like to think and torture your mind, you can stay here and turn your brain on. And also, quickly, before we begin, I don't want any of you to cancel me or think that I'm an awful person. It's just that I've been really thinking about all this stuff I'm going to share right now, so I'll be curious to hear different opinions. And reminding you, philosophy really prompts you to think.
Am I defending myself with these I'm so smart, I'm so philosophical.
I would just like to share all of these thoughts of mine and, discuss them and think about them. And also, just remember that you are forming your opinion from, different opinions you hear. So, if you hear 2 contrasting thoughts, that's pretty much the best option for you to form your own opinion. So again, if your thoughts are different from mine, I'm okay with that. We're all calm here. Let's begin. So, I recently started thinking about the work environment quite a lot. Because surprise, surprise, I've entered my 20s, I dropped out of my university, I have to find a job. And I just started thinking about... I don't really want to work. Well, to put it in abstract words, if you have to wake up to your job early to the point it interacts with your circadian rhythm, is your paycheck or the difference you'll make for working extra hours really worth all these health problems and potentially wasted years of life? Now, to explain it and elaborate on it a little bit, imagine you're a personal trainer. You have to wake up to your job very early so you can be at the gym at 6 a.m. already. But you are a late owl who likes to sleep in until 9 a.m. or even later. This way, it really interacts with your own circadian rhythm and causes you irreversible health problems. And let's not talk about that not getting enough sleep is especially bad for any person really, but for personal trainers especially.
Because, all this fat loss, muscles, and all of that, and you also have to be fresh during your workout sessions.
Now, all of that was put really simply and really plainly and very unscientifically, but it's just a simple example to explain what I'm thinking about. So once again, if you have to wake up to your work very early, to the point it interacts with your circadian rhythm. Is your paycheck or the difference you'll make working extra hours really worth all your health problems and potentially wasted years of your life? I hope that I did not put it in a too complicated manner. Even such jobs exist where I don't remember what it's called, but the people there, they work in the cold all the time. They work literally with ice, and they use their physical strength for their job while only having, like, I don't know, one meal a day. I guess I shouldn't really elaborate on why that's bad for their health. And also, this is, again, a bit controversial, I'd say, but recently I listened to the podcast from Eleanor about the beauty queen killer. And, well, the police there, they did not investigate the missing person case during the weekend because it was the weekend. And they didn't want to work during the weekend. While I do judge their actions as well, I can't stop thinking about that police are also human. I know that you Americans have quite a lot of controversies with police, but still, it doesn't change the fact that they are human and they also need to take breaks from their work, especially as demanding and exhausting as theirs. Now, for example, put yourself in their place. You work as a police officer and you meet with all these missing people, potentially murder cases literally every day. So of course you would like to take a break from it. You would like to take, I don't know, a weekend off to spend together with your family or whatever. But if you do that, people will treat you as trash and judge you for it because you are supposed to serve the nation. Which again, yes, it is the police task to serve the nation and protect us, but still, it doesn't change the fact that they're also human and they also need to take breaks. That said, I do know that police officers can take days off and that there are only specific people with specific character entering such positions. But still, I'm
just expressing empathy towards both of the sides. Please don't judge me.
And now, one last thing before I send you off. Wait just a little bit. Well, now, lately, I've been reading a lot of articles and hearing a lot of statements that, oh no, Gen Z is working the work environment. We're all doomed.
Though I believe that we're gonna say the same thing about the future generations.
Well, all these, like, older people, usually they always judge us because, you know, Gen Z, we are protecting our boundaries, defending our boundaries and protecting our mental health. Oh. But really, what bosses want from you is to dedicate yourself fully to your job. So, for example, if a person says, I will not take any more job tasks on, or I need to take a break and I defend my boundaries and protect my mental health because, first and foremost, I am a human being. The boss will reply with,
no, first and foremost, you are your job title, and only that goes everything else. So you have to devote yourself fully to your job.
These thoughts are very depressing, and that's also the reason why I don't really want to work a normal job. I don't know, I enjoy content creation, for example. Okay, all of that said, please don't cancel me. Please, just let all these thoughts sink into your brain and share your opinions only after you've given some time. The longer the better. Because I am a nice person, I don't want to be judged or something. Anyways, love you. See the dancing part. Bye.
Na na, wrote the
the shit. No, 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 love that shit. Rock that shit up. Makeup. She never had makeup. But she is homeless. She is homeless. After NaNoWriMo, I learned my lesson about story structure.
No, don't step back. No, 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 don't step back.
Go, move your body. Go, just move your body.